I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey!
Hey, y'all! Yee-Haw! We are finally here with 911 Lone Star.
Yes.
Lone Star.
Very
I hope y'all are
excited.
with us.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Welcome, fans. We're hoping that we have some fans crossing over from 911, our original show. Ryan Murphy has done it again. We are a spin-off of 911, and welcome. Now, before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host with me, Ebone Chatman.
Yes. Hey, how are you?
You are a super fan of 911. That is correct?
Yes.
Yes, we are both super fans of 911.
Woo! So exciting. It's so good. I love this show.
Yes. So, we have a 2-night premiere, and this began yesterday. Tonight is night 2. We are talking about Yee-Haw. Welcome to Austin, Texas. We are now ready to get started with some wicked things. Ebone, what do you think so far about this season?
Honestly, so far, all I put was just like, this episode was a lot about accepting. There was a lot of like really heavy issues that were touched upon, but like in a great, like comical, like lighthearted way, but there are just like a lot of issues being touched on. So this episode
Very
was
much
about
so.
acceptance, I felt like.
I love how it's, for me, in your face, but then, as you said, lighthearted, but then in your face.
Right.
And there's so many moments throughout episode 1 and episode 2 that just really hone in on some of the social issues and the social injustices that we're dealing with in America today and globally today. So it's just one of those things where I think Ryan Murphy, the executive producer of this show, is having a real lighthearted comedy way of saying, hey, we're going to deal with these issues.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We are introduced right off the bat in episode 1 and episode 2 to our new hero of the day, Captain Owen. How do you feel about him?
I love him. I think I just like, you see him. He's been in a whole bunch of other TV shows and whatnot. So I love his character. I love him as an actor. So I was really excited and his personality, you could tell he is like a little bit of the comic relief.
Yeah.
Like he kind of like keeps it going, keeps everyone together. So I enjoy his character.
I absolutely love how straightforward he is and how personable his character is. He's literally one of these characters that's just like, hey, let's just talk about it. It's okay. It's not that deep. We're going to think outside the box, and I'm going to bring like a new vision to this small town.
Right. He's really like a father figure.
Yes.
Yeah, like the way he like brings together. I mean, the whole crew is completely different. We have one person who's transgender, one person who's Muslim, one person who's gay, and it's like it's wonderful to see all of these communities represented in one show. So
absolutely. I think that this show just kind of deals with how we want to see television today. We want to be able to see every single person represented equally and fairly, and to have it in a way where it's conversational and it's not argumentative and it's not like a negative Debbie Downer situation, but where it's lighthearted and it's fun and it's everyday circumstances that we can just enjoy and accept. And I think this pilot and our second episode for tonight really lays that foundation where we can begin to accept we are people, point blank period, people.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. No, that's totally true.
All right. So while we are still talking with our first topic, Captain of our new firehouse, not only were we dealing with a new town, Austin, Texas, and a new dispatcher, a new crew, we're dealing with this new captain, and he's dealing with some new circumstances himself. This captain has now left New York, came down to Austin, Texas, and he has lung cancer. He is a 911 first responder for the towers, and somehow throughout this whole situation, he has now developed lung cancer. How do you feel about that, Ebone?
I mean, I think that we're going to see him have to go through some struggles. This episode, the second episode, we did see him kind of like start to accept his situation a little bit more.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like, lung cancer is a really big deal. And so I'm not sure, they haven't stated how far along he is
right.
In his journey, but I think that we're going to start seeing the struggle. he's not going to be able to uphold his position, the entire time. There's going to be downtime, sick time. So how they're going to deal with that, how they're going to support him, I'm excited to see that.
Me too. I really like the position that the show is going in, like the direction that the show is going in right now with this topic. Oftentimes, I feel like when we deal with health issues, especially cancer, it can become a very heavy topic. And so far, even though we recognize the circumstances at hand, the show hasn't really gone to a really dark, heavy place. The captain himself, he's digesting this situation in his new circumstances, but at the same time, he's positive. They're making so many lighthearted jokes, including towards the end where it's like, you know what, you'll look good in a cowboy hat,
Right. Or like he even woke up with a dream and he thought he was bald and he was like freaking out. Honestly, I thought that scene was so real. Yes. I was like, wait, is this a dream or is this real? Like, is he bald? And then you asked me, like, did he shave his head? Did we miss that part? I was like, no. I was like, no, I think he just woke up like this. So no. Right. So I like how they kind of like poked fun at it a little bit.
Absolutely. And they were also poking fun at the fact that city goers can be a little bit superficial and vain a little bit. And I thought it was so funny for this situation to just recognize, yes, he's a guy from a big city coming to a small town, and his view of his hair and this is his image and this is who he is now going to have to get stripped away a little bit, and they're just kind of teasing at where this character is going.
Right. It's funny because it's like none of that matters, like
exactly.
At the end of the day, real life is life, things happen, and like none of those like superficial, like your looks don't matter as long as you're still here, you're still alive and functioning.
Right.
So I think that's what they were trying to get him to understand, like who cares if your hair falls out? Like it doesn't matter. You'll still be here and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. So because of our time today, we're going to be moving pretty quickly. However, not only did the captain come from New York, but his son, TK, also came down with him. We'll see some interesting, cool moments from that. But from firsthand, how do you feel about TK?
I like him. First of all, I think he's very handsome.
Yes, he is.
Very handsome man.
Dreamy.
Yes. But I love, again, so he's the one who is gay, and so we went through that whole first pilot episode of how he proposed to his boyfriend, and then he like overdosed, and so his dad's kind of having an issue, kind of being like, oh, I don't want to tell him about my problems because you have your own to deal with, and I don't know how this is going to rock him. So again, like we're going to see that situation come to a head back eventually. I mean, he's going to have to tell him.
Yes.
Like he can't tell him on his deathbed. Like he's going to have to tell him eventually. So,
Yeah, we can definitely see that coming. And right now it is a very delicate situation and issue. So I'm interested to see how that's going to be revealed in the coming episodes. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to our second topic. But before we move on, you have something that you want to share with us?
Yes. We love it here when you guys tell us about the things that you guys like and how you guys feel about the show. Please leave comments below, like and subscribe. And then if you are too busy to watch us, you can always listen on Spotify and iTunes.
Absolutely. And our live chat, as always, is up and running. So if you would like to leave a comment, feel free to communicate with us today, and we will shout you out, get some comments for our next episode, all right? So here's the real kicker of this episode. We are now introduced to one of the original firefighters of this house. As we learned in the first episode with the pilot, there was a firefighter crew that unfortunately had a horrible tragedy, and it wiped out the entire station. But there was one survivor, Judd, who has stayed, and now he's going through his own battle of just trying to understand that he's alive and how do I move forward. So what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, have you ever like even met someone with PTSD or like been around that energy?
I feel like in LA we kind of have.
Right.
I mean, there's always,
yeah, there are a lot of people, but it's again, this is another like heavy topic that they're touching on. I think a lot of people suffer from PTSD. So it's it's not always people who are in the military, it's going to be people that are dealing with tragedies all the time. So like police officers, firefighters, like I think sometimes we like miss that. Yeah. Like where PTSD can occur, and it can even happen like in a daily life. It doesn't have to be like in a super stressful job, like if you have, or like it doesn't have to be, I'm saying like life or death, right? Like 911, like either police officer, firefighters, you're kind of like putting your life on the line every day, but it could just be like a stressful job could also bring on those symptoms. So again, we're seeing him like kind of dealing with getting through even thinking about the situation is like getting him all types of wired up. And I've never been close to someone who had PTSD, so it's like definitely like a learning experience to like watch how someone can deal with it.
This is very true, and I love how this story kind of cradles the topic and situation, and not in a negative way, but in just a delicate manner where we are able to look at this in a new perspective. For example, like Grace, Jude's wife, she is so sweet, so caring, so sentimental. She handles him like, you know, an egg or a flower, and not in a babying type of way where it's overbearing and just negative, but it's in a very nurturing and sweet manner that just allows for him to have the love that he needs, but also that push for him to really face the issues that he's dealing with.
Right, because I mean, at the end of the day, look, she's married to him. She cares about him. She wants to see him get through. I mean, she's seeing him every day. So however she's feeling how this has impacted his life, you know, she wants to see him get better. She wants to see him like move forward out of this tragedy. So yeah, it's so wonderful that he has that like great support system. I think with anyone, especially someone with PTSD, you need a great support system.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm really excited to see how their relationship is going to develop over the season, simply because in the pilot, we get a chance to see that she is okay with pulling a couple strings behind the scene. We see her go to the captain, and after he had a horrible interview with trying to come back onto the team and basically curse the captain out, she goes to the captain and says, look, I know my husband is not the perfect man. However, he needs this, and I really would like for you to give him a chance. And it wasn't in a way that was, once again, negative, but it was just from, I'm his wife and I want the best for him, and I know this is the best for him. So their relationship is just remarkable to see on television.
Yeah, it's super strong.
Yes.
It's nice to see a strong relationship. I hope that they don't, like, you know, mess with the relationship too much. Like, you know, like next thing you know, it's like, oh, they're getting a divorce or something. No. It's like, so I hope that they like keep it strong, because that is a nice relationship to see.
Absolutely. So that kind of leads to Judd's and Captain Owen's relationship. Their relationship has this really weird dynamic because of both of their circumstances. He's going through PTSD. The captain's going through taking on the ugly truth that he has cancer. And the captain ends up actually saying, look, you got to face your truth. And in this episode, we see Judd go, hey, you got to face your truth too.
Right. You gotta start accepting some things around here, okay? Yeah, it's not just me that needs to take that same advice. So
isn't that a beautiful thing to see, where you can be in a work environment where it's very family oriented, and even though they're just now getting a chance to know each other and they're still developing and cultivating their relationships, I personally can see them beginning to fight for each other and wanting each other to be healthy and win and come from a strong place where they can heal. Both of these characters are healing, and we're watching them kind of hold each other up in these moments.
Right. And I love that. I mean, honestly, what a blessing to have a work environment like that, because it's definitely not everyone's that's not everyone's truth right there, to be able to come to work and feel like people actually care. But again, in their line of work, because it's like every single day I put my life on the line, so do you. It's like you have this like instant bond, as opposed to like a 9 to 5 where you're just going in like making a deal. It's like a little different. It's more cutthroat. They're like they depend on each other, so it's very important to like have that trust. So I think that's amazing. And I love that they show what it's like to be a firefighter, really.
Yeah, because they're living together, they're eating, they're sleeping, they're doing everything. So that's beautiful. All right, so we are winding down in time, but before we come to a conclusion, we have another main character that we have to discuss.
Yes.
She came in like a firefighter, on fire, although she is an EMT or a paramedic. And Michelle, she has a serious, not necessarily vengeance, but she has this fire inside of her to find the truth, to find her sister. How do you feel about that character, Ebone?
No, I love her. I think it's very interesting, because it's like, you know, when you go through trauma and you have someone that you're like trying to find, like she's missing her sister, and she doesn't know what happened. She thinks it's the husband. It's kind of like she's so desperate to kind of like just figure it out. So she's going through any lengths. And so, again, we see in episode 2 how she goes to this witch to try to like get some answers, to try to like figure out, would you ever do that? Would you go to a witch to try to get some voodoo going on?
I don't know if I can say yay or nay to those circumstances. And I know that sounds horrible, but you know, she's been dealing with this for 3 years. She ended up leaving things on a very bad term with her sister, and I feel like she feels like she's guilty and it's her fault that this situation arose because she didn't have anyone. Her sister didn't have her to lean on. So I think she's at that place where she has to make it right. So her back is pushed against the wall, and going to a witch is what's making her feel like she's going to be able to get to the bottom of this. And finally, her neighbor ended up telling her this information that led her to this witch. And it's really beautiful to watch this character really be revealed, because we see her come in like on fire, banging on her sister's ex door, and then we see in the same moment that she's trying to save this young boy's life because he's having an asthma attack, and understands that the family can't afford treatment, health, like really good quality health. So just to see like that dynamic of her character, you would think someone that's that fiery would not always be understanding
and have such sympathy.
Of a lower income. Right. So she's interesting, and I feel like for right now I can't make a judgment call on her character.
Right? It's like, but I mean, I feel like I hope she gets the answer that she needs, because I feel like it's that thing where you have like just unanswered questions. Yeah. But you know what's so funny? While I was listening to her character, I was like, she has like such a phone sex voice. Or is it just me? It's
I agree.
It's like so
sultry
like
and
it's deep and it's like sexy. It's like weird. I'm kind of like, what is happening? Like, what? Because she talks to the captain like, "Hey, Captain," and it's like, okay, wait a second, do you like him? Like, what's going on?
It's crazy because even when she's like angry, I mean, other than her yelling, but even when she's talking about heated conversations, that voice is still there, that tone, that cadence is there. So it's really hard to like, well, what am I hearing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, girl. Wonder if she talks like that in real life.
Well, I love this character. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But we have so many characters. This crew is huge. We won't be able to get to all of the characters, but I can't wait to just, like, discover and reveal more of them next episode. But we do have some really, really interesting characters. We have Paul, we have Mateo, and we have a couple of other we have a couple other players, and we talked about Grace, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this therapist that's helping the captain out. There's a lot of different things happening, but we shall save that, and we are now going to go to our special segment.
Yes.
Our segment, oh, this should be fun. So we're going to be doing a segment that is called 911, what's your emergency?
911, what's your emergency? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, what is the emergency, Lauren?
Okay, so this week's emergency, we have 2 emergencies this week because it was just so amazing. The first emergency was that crazy epic scene of the whole office going berserk.
You guys, I was like, what is going on? This lady, like, all of a sudden, she's just, like, scratching herself with a fork. I was like, I couldn't even watch the scene. I was really stressed.
I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, I was stressed. And then she knocks her head on the door and then jumps out. I was like, what is happening?
9 employees just go crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
And yeah,
but I think you called it because you're the one who's like, it's the food. I think you're the one who said that. I didn't get that. I was like, what is going on?
I've been watching 911 too long. I'm a original fan. Okay, I was like, it's the food.
It's the food. No, she had it right away. She had it right away, and it was. Who the heck would be spiking food with mercury? Y'all better check your food before you start eating it.
And it's so crazy that Paul, the firefighter, he realized also that it was the food. When I saw him inspecting, he was like, whose juice is this? Whose this is? I was like, those are all the people that didn't eat.
Yeah, exactly. All the people that did not eat. Exactly.
Craziness. Okay, and our second emergency, 911, what's your emergency? Is the fire. It is the fire at the apartment building with the overlord. That was just ridiculous.
That was so crazy. I'm glad that I thought it was funny that they all kind of started playing into to his like fantasy
world, yeah.
so that they could kind of get him out of there, which I thought was like a really smart move. I don't know if I would have necessarily thought about that because I mean after I got threatened with the gun, I would have been over him. Been like, he could stay in there. I do not care anymore. But
yes, Majan was like, Cap, do I have to go back in there?
She was so over it. So over it.
Love her. All right, well, that concludes our emergencies for this week. We have now dove into episode 1, episode 2. We cannot wait for episode 3. I think my prediction for next week is that maybe the captain is finally going to have this conversation
with his son. Okay,
yes.
I'm on the same page with you.
All right.
Let's see if we're right.
All right. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Yee-Haw, and we cannot wait till next week. Stay tuned. Leave us some comments in the chat, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.